Welcome back to Artificial Intelligence, where we unpack education, creativity, and technology. I'm your co host, Olissa Menakaya.
And I'm Henrietta Wright, and today's conversation, 50 Shades of Grey. And no, it's not the book or the movie. We're talking about the gray areas of valuing creative labor in education, in the arts, and how AI is forcing us to rethink what our work is worth.
Let's be real, this conversation has been brewing for years. Artists have long fought to justify pricing their work. Educators have been expected to give more without fair increase in pay. And now we got AI in the mix, accelerating workflow, but also raising tough questions about labor value.
Right. And the perception gap is widening. People see a quick AI generated output and think, oh, it must be easy. But the reality, AI is just the surface. The thinking, curating, and contextualizing, that's the work you don't see.
Here's the trap. AI can actually devalue labor in the eyes of clients, administrators, or even peers. They might say it only takes 5 minutes. Why are you charging for 5 hours?
Hey, we have to flip that question. That 5 minutes came from years of experience, knowing the right prompts, the right correctness, and the cultural nuances to make it resonate. AI is like a high speed train, but without the conductor, it doesn't know where it's going.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk examples. I recently saw a grant project where the client wanted an AI generated curriculum guide for a cultural science program. They thought it could pay a fraction of the cost because the AI will do most of the work. But after reviewing the AI draft, we had to rewrite sections to fix factual errors, avoid stereotype, and add localized examples. That cheap project took more time to fix than if we started from scratch.
And Alyssa, that's the same in the art world. I had a client ask me for a word for a personal piece, often commissioned. And that experience that he feels from my artwork is something that AI just cannot duplicate since certain patterns that are AI generated won't align with the community's heritage. And fixing them out of a spot, just can be a quick tweak. It required deep research, cultural consultation, and a complete redesign. That kind of invincible labor, the care, authenticity, and respect poured into getting it right. Yes, get it right, no pun intended. It's priceless. I mean, it's not just about producing art, it's about honoring the story it tells and the people it represents.
I agree with you. And when I think about it, our pricing models have to adapt. We need a creative direction fee, accept values for expertise, visions, and oversight, plus production fees for the actual deliverables.
Yeah, and for educators, maybe we start including an AI integration fee in project budgets, especially when the job requires training AI to align with the local needs and standards. Oh, well, that's intellectual property work, and it's worth something.
Yeah, it's worth something. And that's why teaching has its own invisible layers. Lesson preps isn't just about making slides, it's knowing what not to include so you don't overwhelm the students. It's also important because when you are judging for cultural relevancy, accessibility, and pacing, AI can generate content. We all know that. But it doesn't know your student's personality, learning history, or community context.
And here's the kicker. AI might save time on one end, but it often adds time on the quality assurance side. So you have to check sources, reframe for reading level, and make sure the tone encourages rather than alienates. That's intellectual craftsmanship. That's a word we often use when we're talking about art, the craftsmanship. And we use it in education as well.
And also, I agree with you because then you also think about the ownership. And that's
Mhm.
one of the scariest shifts I'm seeing in the idea that AI content is free. Sure, the text might cost more money, but when you're using it without context, that has a huge cost. And that's the trust, the representative, and the cultural accuracy.
Exactly. And free, and we got that in air quotes, content requires a human with the skill set to identify them. And that's what we're really pricing. For example, when you get a quote from an artist or you ask, how much is this piece? When stating the price, which the customer, can say, wow, that's way too high, that can lead to the art being undervalued. Then what do we do? To be honest, we have to be transparent about the materials, the labors, that goes into this piece and the size of the piece, because smaller pieces often require more detail and time, whereas a larger piece may not require that much commitment, depending on the nature of the piece and the time that you need to complete, the artwork. And that's what gives authenticity to the pricing of the art. You may have heard, the terms, back in the day, starving artists, because most people don't realize that the cost of materials are expensive. I mean, from the brushes that we use to the paints and the canvas itself. So we got to realize that the materials and the addition of labor that actually is involved in the completion of that piece is the justification of why that final piece simply just cannot be free.
No, it can be free. I totally agree. So where does that leave us? Somewhere in the gray? AI is just not the enemy, but it's not the hero either. I think people need to realize AI is a collaborator that just needs supervision.
Yeah, which means we need to educate both clients and students about the layers of their work they don't see. That's how we keep pricing fair while embracing the technology that can make our jobs more dynamic. So when we think about the shades of gray, like we think about the shade of black and the tint of white, we need to consider the complexities of being light and dark for our clients, for students and educators from the views of an artist. Do we want to be in the light? Do we want to be in the dark? Or do we want to be in the middle of the gray?
Great perception. I think for educators and artists, let's start documenting our invisible layers.
Mm.
Let's keep track of revision, fast checking, and mentorship because that invisible layer is also your invisible labor.
Yeah.
This is your story.
Yeah, I like that concept of invisible layer because people don't really see the work that actually goes in what an artist does. And for institutions, budget for the human layer. You're not just buying a product. You're investing in cultural accuracy, ethical decision making, and creative vision. And an artist should use a business model for pricing their artwork. That's 50 Shades of Gray, not scandalous, but deeply human.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show and welcome to Artificial Intelligence. Bye for now.
We'll see you the next time as we explore collaborative authorship in the age of AI. Until then, keep it artificial.